The discipline of communication. This deals with how humans use verbal and nonverbal messages to create meaning in various contexts. This can be from one person to another, from person to groups, in government setting, private sector setting, civil society setting, school setting, community setting, to mass audiences across cultures using a variety of channels and media. The discipline of communication is interested in the impact the communication has on human behavior. It is very broad. It can include the study of communication in interpersonal relationships, like groups, organizations, and across cultures, rhetorical theory and criticisms, performance studies, argumentation and persuasion, technologically mediated communication, and popular culture. These disciplines provide us with understanding of how we construct the world of meanings and be able to both send and receive the same. Our objectives is define communication by using the different media communication, understand the effects, function, and levels of communication. What is communication? It is a transactional process in which people generate meaning through the exchange of verbal messages in specific contexts, influenced by individual and societal forces and embedded in culture. Culture here is considered as the provider of patterns of perception, values, and behavior that the group transmits and make a shared heritage. Contexts tend to be culturally defined so much that the individual is made to discern from the given options available to society. Hence, culture provides the strongest fabric to societal forces. Let us try to define communication through the different models of communication. Two ways will be the transition model of communication and the ritual model of communication. The transmission model of communication regards it as a process or regards communication as a process by which message is moved or transmitted from one point to another. It would include several elements which will be important for this to process. Let us define and understand what are these elements. Sender or source. This would be the person or groups or institution that create or produce the message. It is also referred to as encoder. Message, the ideas or meaning expressed in verbal or nonverbal means that is transmitted from the source to the receiver. Channel, it is the medium such as radio used to transmit the message. Receiver, it is the person, group, or institution to whom the message is intended to, also referred to as decoder. Encoding and decoding. Encoding refers to the way the communication source creates the message into a form that can be understood by the receiver. This includes the choice of words, language, and the like. Decoding refers to the process of the message by the receiver so that he or she is able to understand and react to it. Noise, interference that prevents a message from being accurately understood or interpreted. Context, the situation in which the communication takes place and may include social cultural factors, the status and the roles of the communicators, roles and the like. Feedback, the response or reaction of the receiver to the message received. Effect refers to the consequence or result. Communication effects includes cognitive effects or change in knowledge, affective effects or change in emotion, change in behavior, or formation or change of opinion. The other model of communication is the ritual view or the ritual model of communication. This view of communication is directed towards the maintenance of society in time and representation of shared beliefs. It is celebratory, consummatory, and decorative rather than utilitarian in aim, and it often requires some element of performance. What are the examples of ritual view of communication? As pervasive component of our personal and social lives, communication fulfills many functions. The 5 main functions would be discussed. First, surveillance. This refers to the news and information role of communication media, such as the news media. Second, interpretation. It refers to analysis, commentary, context, and other meanings which are found in a message. This relates to persuasion or the influence of attitudes or opinion. Socialization refers to the transmission of values and culture within a society and also to the education functions of communication and the media. Entertainment refers to the functions related to relaxation, reward, diversion, and reduction of tension. These functions, which may be performed through variety shows, drama, music, novels, and many other forms, are important as they allow individuals and societies to cope up with real-life challenges. Lastly, mobilization refers to the communication and media's ability to generate public action about a social issue, for instance, in relief efforts after a disaster. Now, let us understand the levels of communication. We have interpersonal, group communication, public communication, and mass communication. Personal communication is an internal communication process taking place within the individual. These include thought processes, speaking aloud, or writing to oneself as when one is writing in a diary, prayer, or meditation. Next would be interpersonal communication. It involves two persons or a small group such as family. It could be dyadic when two persons are involved, or triad where three persons are involved. Group communication when there are three or more persons communicating face to face and able to give immediate responses or feedback, such as in a meeting or class session. Mass communication involves the transmission of message to large audiences using technology of communication. Public communication involves a large group such as public lecture or church ceremony. In such situations, there is a source who delivers a message in a monologue style and feedback is minimal or restricted. Let us highlight mass communication. This is the definition of mass communication as noted by Hartley, 2002. Remember that the audience of mass communication is a large, diverse, anonymous audience that is not organized. The Communication Act is mediated by a mass medium or technology of communication, such as radio or television. The one that is actually being used right now will be computer-mediated communication. As defined, it refers to any communication taking place using the computer and internet-based technologies such as emails, message boards, and the like. The communication may be synchronous or asynchronous. Computer-mediated communication is relative anonymity, reduced importance of physical appearance and physical distance. It creates greater control over time and pace of interaction, and has an absence of visual cues from communication partners such as eye gaze, voice inflection, and the like. That's the discipline of communication.